Well, my name is Sean Jordan, and I am presenting Physics 2212 Lab 2 Line of Charges. The glow script can be found in the description. The purpose of this lab is to observe and compare the computational data from Lab 1 to this lab. We will be using the same core principles as the last lab, which are Newton's second law and Coulomb's law. The objectives of this lab are calculating the charge of the line of tapes with n amount of small pieces, uh, then calculating the magnitudes of the electric and gravitational force after that. In this experiment, we will be making the floating tape, the system, and everything else, like the tape causing it to float, the surroundings. Because we are using the same key principles as Lab 1, these formulas will take place in this lab as well. However, we will be utilizing an integral for n number of pieces for our tape when calculating the electric field vectors. The gravity will also be found by using the mass that was calculated from Lab 1 here as well. The experimental setup will also be akin to Lab 1. However, we will be treating the tapes not as point charges, but as lines. If you want to look at the experimental setup in greater detail, you can pause here. Here is the data that will be used from the extracted Lab 1 computational model, which are the tape masses and tape charges. For the mass, it was 1.78 e to negative 4 kilograms, and the tape charge was found to be 1.013 e to negative 8 for a single point, which is important for our integral. Here you can see the initial conditions for the code that outlines the function and variables at which the electric field can be calculated. Potential errors for this are the rounding errors as we transfer data from one line to the next, and the assumptions such as negligible air resistance that may or may not play a role into our experiment. In this case, it would. If you like to look into the code, you can pause here. The visuals from this computational model can be seen here, where the location of the tapes are set and the forces are calculated as shown. The tiny green arrows you see in the visual are caused by the blue tape, that is the electric field exerted onto the red tape. By placing the mass and charge of the tape into this new model, we get an electric force magnitude of 2.52 e to negative 4 coulombs and the gravitational force magnitude of 1.77 e to negative 3 newtons. Now to our discussion. What if the modeling for this lab were all point charges? Well, the experiment would effectively be the same thing as Lab 1. By increasing the number of point charges, which is the line, it strongly resembles something that a charge tape would look like or a piece of tape would look like. This would increase the charge of the tape to be more accurate to that of a real life piece of tape. Now, why are these estimates bigger? Well, this is because each point in the line that we set in the model with infinitely small n pieces will more accurately depict the charge of the line of tape. So the charge would increase as the electric field is essentially a net electric field at each given point based off of the blue tape from the last slide that exerts the electric field onto the red one. By increasing n to say infinity, we can get a more accurate number of charge or an more accurate charge reading for each point as we increasingly, the n is increasingly small and more accurate. This is assuming that the infinitely small pieces are uniformly charged to that of a charged piece that is much larger. And that is the end of this presentation. Thank you for listening.